Thank you very much, Riv. First off, congratulations, Bjergsen. There is not much more that you can hope for getting a first game like that here at the World Championship. Talk me through the strategy, very much focusing on your mid lane in the beginning.
It was just pretty much how the game or the picks worked out. We weren't expecting them to give us all these power picks like Nami on Lost Boy, we have Alistar, we got Lee Sin on Amazing. We just got all these really good comfort champions and all these champions that these players are basically known for, and it just led into a really good comp overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And Reggie was saying how you guys would have strong laners. You got all of those. And then the team synergy for SK was praised by Reginald, but you guys didn't even have to deal with that. Tell me how the game snowballed out of control.
It was just pretty much the way the lane was set up mid. We managed to get a gank off, and I think as soon as you get a kill on a stage like this, everyone just feels like you're in control and you know exactly what to do and you're just on point. And I feel like as soon as you get just a couple kills, everyone knows what to do, everyone's on the same page, and everyone feels like this is where we need to go and that we're the better team.
Well, it is a fantastic start for you guys in this group. Talk me through your thoughts on the group overall. Great first game. Do you think SK won't be about it for you guys anymore, and who will be?
I think for this group specifically, it's definitely going to be Stormheart and Royal. They're kind of like a weird team. We haven't been able to get that much other than what they've just been playing in the own scene. But I think they're just a really strong team, and they have a lot of specific picks that they play really well, and we need to be ready for that. And it's not something we've been able to practice against.
Well, then let's look forward to that game, because it is, of course, the last game of the day here versus Starhorn Royal Club, and going up against a Chinese mid laner, a wholly different style. How are you feeling going into that?
I've been playing against Wei Zhao in NA for a while, and he's just a great player. So I'm ready for a lot of different things, and I've heard that Chinese players they can play a lot of different mids, they can be very versatile, and I can't wait to play against their aggression.
I can't wait to see what you pull out. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, and now we're going to head back over to the guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, and what a dominant performance from Bjergsen with the aid of Amazing camping out that middle lane throughout the early stages of the game. Truthfully, TSM had SK's number through the entirety of that match, all the way back to picks and bans. And the early game, what was your thoughts on the Sona pickup for Unrated, knowing Brown was open, and how SK handled the laning phase?
Yeah, looking at what point, at the end of the draft basically, SK had one pick left, and they knew they were going to play Lucian because that was their early pick, into Tristana Nami, and they went for Sona. And I really disagree with that. I feel Sona is just an inferior version of Nami, especially when it comes to poking. You'll get out-sustained eventually. Thresh would have been better. Braum would have been better. Just anything with some aggressive play, because you need to shut that Tristana lane down. There is this stereotype that Tristana does so well at playoffs and worlds for some reason, but she can be beaten. She can be beaten by Lucian in lane, but you need to play the lane correctly. And maybe SK was just, has the jitters coming first world game, play passive. But if you want to play passive, don't pick Lucian.
I do want to kind of push against you a little bit on the Sona point. I think Sona is great. Actually, if the lane were normal and not misplayed, I think Sona Lucian would have won that fight, and I think Sona does just fine against Nami. I realize you're the better support player than me, but from what I've seen of League of Legends, I think Sona deserves more respect than you're giving her, but that as it may. I do think, though, the game kind of played out as you expect. TSM have better individual players, Amazing, obviously a better jungler than Gilius. Gilius also not a very aggressive jungler in the first place. I mean, this was a guy who was getting out-jungled in his promotion relegation match against Millennium, and that's a tough mark to beat then when you're up against guys like Insec in your group.
Yeah.
I think a key point in this game happened to be that there is just no synergy between the mid lane and jungle. Obviously, you're putting in a substitute, and they failed to recognize that the entire team comp of TSM revolves around Yasuo and getting Yasuo far ahead. So Kha'Zix was basically just lounging around mid lane instead of making his own thing happen, try to create pressure elsewhere and force TSM to react. Instead, we saw him just walk behind Jez's the entire time, just be like, okay, I'm waiting for Lee Sin to come around. Where's Lee Sin? Lee Sin never shows up because he's not going to show up in the 1v2 scenario. And he had multiple opportunities to get better objective control when they committed to making dives on Mundo, and it just never happened.
Not only that, but to really jungle here at the world level, you have to have a lot of synergy with your team, because the problem really was that Amazing, he had those misplays. He kind of gave up the double buffs when he was trying to make the plays, but what he did really well was that he was playing always on the side of the map with the pressure, right? And Gilius looked a bit lost. He was constantly in the wrong side of the jungle, getting counter-jungled, and it was just kind of a disaster. He had zero presence in that game.
What do you mean playing on the side of the map with pressure? Just for the clarification.
Yeah, well, when the lanes are pushing up, so let's say you're pushed up into the top and middle side, or you've got a preferable matchup where, for example, in the Dyrus roam coming down after they had pressed pressed up into top, and when they had that Yasuo who was getting fed in the mid lane, go into the enemy's red buff in that circumstance if you're on the blue side, and try and control the top side of the map in that circumstance. They got the deep wards down, and then you can punish so hard off of that.
See, TSM was capitalizing on mistakes. SK wasn't doing so. At one point, the desk here pointed out, I actually didn't even see it myself until you guys called it out, that Julius could have went for a red buff. Instead, they went for the tower push. Same for bottom. Going back to that laning phase, I went back and watched the first like 4 or 5 minutes of that laning phase, and SK they gave TSM the push. They got outpoked. All their poke led up to just Nami out sustaining it anyways, and they didn't play aggressive enough. And if you don't play aggressive enough, you can't capitalize on the mistakes, and then you'll just die just a slow death, and eventually Bjergsen will become too big.
Well, very one-sided game. We will have to take a step back and talk about TSM's power later in the day. But coming up next, 2 teams will be making their first appearance at Worlds as Darker Passage from Turkey faces AHQ eSports Club. We'll be taking a quick look at some of the teams and players here. Are the Turkish champions? They are watching their matches from that practice room. We need to see how they step up against stronger opposition. AHQ, they are doing the same. It's quite focused, calm looks on their faces. Guys, we will be moving to a short break very, very shortly. When we are back, we'll return with that match.
In all sorts of trouble. Freddy comes down to join the party, but he's simply just another death for TSM.
And SK just makes matters worse.
Wow! Gilius going down. Jets in the wrong place at the wrong time. Turtle gets hit up. Will he be able to keep it going? Everybody's jumping in and going for broke this time. Gilius gets hit up, thrown down in the box, and they go for Freddy towards the fountain.